tie on me, baby. So this is not the desert, and I am not riding a dirt bike. I am currently in the middle of spending 3 weeks in Illinois for my wedding. I was without a bike, but I wanted to make a video every week, and so that means I gotta film something every week. So I got this bad boy running. Well, actually, it already ran. I just made it run better. So this is a 1981 Vespa P200E. My dad bought it in 81, rode it, I think, until 83, and then never touched it again. But he never sold it. He just, he brought it with him every time he moved, and he kept it all these years. And so in 2014, I went to him and asked if I could take it and ride it around. I got it running and rode it around for a bit that summer, and then I moved to Arizona and never touched it again. Currently without a job, so I figured while I'm in town, I'm gonna fix the problems that it had and try to ride it. The issues it was dealing with when I first got it running after, shit. Like that's an issue. It had a few issues back in 2014 when I got it running initially. First issue is the wire that connects the ignition switch to the control box that causes a spark is rotten. So turning the key or the kill switch does nothing. The second issue is it doesn't run quite right. It just like stalls out when you're idling, and sometimes the throttle gets real boggy. I've messed with the fuel air ratio. I've fucking done everything. It runs like shit. Then the third issue, which I consider the most major issue, is the rear tire was rubbing on the inside of the engine, and it was like skinning itself, and I was afraid I was going to blow it out from the sidewall. So I did some research on that, and the only idea or only theory I came up with is that it had to be engine mounts, because the way this engine mounts, it acts like a swing arm on a motorcycle. Like the front end connects to a pivot point in the center of the frame, and then the back end connects to the lower end of the shock, and that's it. And so every time you hit a bump, the whole engine moves, and it's supposed to move up and down. But if the engine mounts are rotten, which they almost certainly were, the engine can lean. And if the engine leans, it'll cause the tire to make contact with it. So that was my theory. I hadn't actually verified it, but I had purchased engine mounts back in like 2014. And so I had time this week, because I'm not working currently, and I put those things on. Yeah, so when I pulled the engine off, like I had to scrape all this rubber off the side of the engine, like with SOS pads and shit, and then I had to hammer the original mounts out, which were, they actually looked pretty good when I pulled them out, but the shaft that goes through them was able to flex inside the mount. So I ended up being correct. The tire no longer rubs. I was really nervous, like I wasn't gonna be able to get those things in, but I ended up making like this, a press out of a threaded rod, some nuts and washers. It worked perfectly. I was doing it on Memorial Day, and no shops were open. Like I figured since I had the engine off, I could just bring the engine to a shop and have them press the new bushings in, but it was not an option. So anyway, if you follow me on Instagram, you've seen pictures of this bike in pieces, and that's why you saw it in pieces, because I wanted to fix it so I could fucking ride it and I could make some videos out here. So I don't know. I know that generally the motorcycle community views scooters as sort of like dork machines, and like I do too. I really do. They're slow, they're shaped funny, they're for people who like want to ride on two wheels but don't want to be a part of the motorcycle scene, you know? And while I don't really like scooters, I don't really consider Vespa to be in that same class, at least not vintage Vespas. Because dude, like, oops, stall this bitch out. Vintage Vespas are fucking sexy, you know, and I don't really consider Vespas to be in that same class with all the other dork machines, because, well, primarily because it's Italian designed, and every motorcyclist knows that if it's made in Italy, it is a sex machine. And vintage Vespas are fucking sexy, dude. Like, you cannot look at one of these and tell me that the curvy lines and shit are not beautiful. Like, I actually think the 50s and 60s models are better looking. This is an 81. This is like the last generation that was considered vintage. And I think they remade some P-Series Vespas in 2000. So, like, there's newer models running around. But, like, I mean, these are still beautiful. These are beautiful, too. And then riding it's fucking hilarious. It's hilarious because, like, everybody looks at you and smiles. I don't know. I just wish it ran good. I have no idea where I'm going. I'm just kind of exploring, you know. It kind of reminds me of the NX125 because like it's more fun in neighborhoods where there's no pressure. But when you're on the street and you're trying to keep up with cars and you're tiny and your engine doesn't run right and you're stalling at stoplights, it's pretty stressful. I've had like people who want to learn how to ride ask if they could like learn on this, and like, dude, you know what? This is possibly the most difficult bike I've ever ridden. Like, it's adorable and it's 200 cc's, but it's like, I mean, even if the engine ran right, okay, let's just say it didn't stall at stoplights, you've still got a really awkward power band, right? Like, all of the power is up top, and then like the engine only really runs smooth at certain RPM. So like you've got all these weird gaps in smoothness and power, but that's just the way a two-stroke works. I gotta watch out for police because I don't have this bike registered. Look, a windmill. I have to rev the engine when I'm stopped because otherwise the idle will just slowly decrease till it stops. If I don't get this arrow, I'm going anyway. No, I got a friend. It's fun though. It's a ridiculous little bike. It's only got 4,000 miles on it. And chicks dig it, bro. Seriously, girls do like this. Girls love cute bikes. Anyway, I'm gonna scoot my way into ecstasy in this beautiful land of lush green things. So see everybody later.